Hey, welcome to another edition of Fire Engineering's Tactical Impact. I'm your host, Jim Silvernail. This podcast is brought to you by Firehouse Subs and the Firehouse Subs Public Safety Foundation. Enjoy more subs, save more lives. Find out more about the restaurant ownership at www.firehousesubfranchising.com. We're live today in the FDIC studios at Live FDIC, and with me, as always, is my co-host, Chief Jason Hoevelman. Jason, how are you?
I'm doing great. It's always good to get back to FDIC and see all of the friends and make new friends and take all the classes and just enjoy a week that comes and goes too quickly.
Outstanding. And with us today, we have another guest from the St. Louis area, our good friend and colleague, Chief Steve Olschwanger from the Maryland Heights Fire Protection District. Steve, welcome.
Thank you. Great to be here. I appreciate you having me on.
That's great. It's a special time when we're at FDIC, as Jason said, but this is a very special FDIC. I don't know if anybody's aware of this. Everybody should be aware of this, but my co-host here is actually delivering the keynote on Thursday morning. Jason, how do you feel about that? How do you feel right now that you're 2 days out?
Nervous, but more excited than nervous. I know when you first get asked to do this, it's obviously an honor. And you look at all of the legends that have stood on that stage and you worry and worry and worry, but the staff here, the people that have given me advice, I feel pretty good.
That's great. I'm looking forward to it. I really am. I think it's going to be phenomenal, and we're very proud of you. Steve, what are you looking forward to seeing this week?
It is just great, like Jason said a minute ago, to get back to Indianapolis, see old friends, make new friends, network. The networking is the greatest opportunity with legends like our good friend Bill Guston, who just arrived, and many others. So just the classes and just a great week of friendship and networking.
Well, we were joined just now by our good friend, Captain Bill Guston from the Miami-Dade Fire Department. Bill, welcome, sir. You've been a legend. You've been a mentor. Glad to have you.
And I have to agree with the good chief. You are a chief.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Everybody's a chief but me. I'm a captain. But
You're the smart one.
The friendships, the lasting friendships, the networking that you establish at FDIC, where you've got friends in Wyoming, you got people on the West Coast, and you know we're miles and miles apart, but we stay in contact with each other through networking. If I need a particular picture, how many pictures have I gotten from you, Jason?
Countless.
Balloon frame construction. I go to this guy, and that is what I cherish about FDIC is the friendships that you forge and the relationships.
Right before you got in here, we talked about Jason doing the keynote on Thursday. How do you feel about that?
I've had an advance copy of it, and I think it's cutting edge stuff. It is cutting edge stuff because it has to do with, I don't want to give too much away,
yeah.
with change.
Yeah.
That especially old guys like me are resistant to, but the fire service adapting. You've got some great examples, and I don't think that there's a fire department, regardless of its size, that could not relate. Your keynote will resonate with everyone.
I appreciate that. I've had great mentors and influencers, especially you, Captain Guston. It's been amazing going through my career with you, being able to call and get an honest critique that's also coming from the heart and for the betterment of all of us, including, you know, you just got done teaching.
I did.
What'd you share with everybody today?
It was a good group. If I've got just a minute to
Absolutely.
expound. Okay, I've been teaching for several years now, management and operations for newly promoted company officers. And I'm not accustomed to receiving negative evaluations. And I did last year. And the complaint was, well, first of all, computer tech issues, which I take responsibility for, but also too much operations and not enough management. So what I did is I actually followed our schedule and I looked at the syllabus for Palm Beach County as well, and I patterned the class after that. So, whereas last year it was size up and reconnaissance and reports, injury reports. What are you going to do when your apparatus hits a non-moving object? Okay. I know what we used to do, but you falsify a report today, you are in real trouble. And also, you have to be an officer, and sometimes, and I'm sure it happens to you, Chief, it breaks your heart because you're destroying a friend's life or their career. But you have to do, that's why some people would rather not ever be an officer. They're practitioners, they're technicians, they're great at what they do, but they don't want to have to put up with that. So a lot of that kind of stuff I integrated into the program. Man, you're sitting on a witness stand, and you deemed an electrical fire to be a combination of a bad ground, errant electricity, and a open neutral. Oh, tell me, Chief Hoevelman, what was the name of the institution of higher learning where you earned your degree in electrical engineering? So I learned that from a very experienced investigator, and that's the kind of stuff things that I added this year that I didn't have last year, and had a pretty good group. Nobody left.
Yeah.
They all came back from the break.
There you
go. Yep. So you're always relieved after you get. But I have been preparing for this for weeks and weeks and weeks. Really, after last year, I swore to myself, "No, that ain't going to happen again."
Well, Bill, you are a wealth of knowledge, and you've been a legend here at FDIC. I remember taking your classes a long time ago. I won't say how long ago. It might date some of us. But you're not only a wealth of knowledge, but you're a tremendous fire instructor. And I don't know, we also want to say that, we're honored and privileged to have the George D. Post Instructor of the Year right here. Bill Gustin will receive that at opening, and I don't think there's a better recipient than you to receive this award, Bill. Congratulations.
Well, Chief, in that audience is a future recipient of this award. And how do we begin? We begin by teaching our own department. And that is daunting because you have to be yourself. You cannot claim to be somebody that you're not. You cannot claim to have done something that you didn't. Your people know you. So you better do your research. And your coworkers, your peers are going to know whether you did your research or not and prepared. To me, the biggest challenge is teaching recruits and officer development students in our officer development program. And they know who I am. And you got to be real. You got to make it real. So there's going to be somebody in that audience
For sure.
that is going to be someday.
Yep. And these younger ones are smarter. They have the tools to look up anything and everything at their fingertips that back in our day we did not. We had to actually do some pretty extensive research. But yeah, they're coming in a lot smarter, which is good.
You bring up something very important, and that is their future leaders are out here. Absolutely 100%. The next book writer, the next author, the next instructor, the next captain is out in this field, this audience. And I also like the thing about, what we talk about change. What has this conference done for you personally, and what has it done for your fire department as far as a culture change? Do you think it has? Do you think it has that big of an impact to your career and to your organization? I'll start with Steve, and then.
Absolutely. We get more and more men and women coming up every year because they want to learn, and they know from hearing it, just not from me, but my assistant chief that's been here for multiple years, the impact that it does have. And so, yeah, it's shifting toward these younger men and women. And again, they want to come up and they want to learn and they want to network with these legends, and they want to sit at the bar or the restaurant or right here in the hallway and have a chance to talk to these incredible mentors. And so, yeah, it's an impact that nobody really knows, but it's huge.
Yeah, I think it's a great question. And I think as I reflect back on the many years that I've been coming to FDIC, I think what it definitely, as we've brought members from our department here, it has definitely changed hearts and minds, if you will, in our organization at a very micro level, and created more intimacy into what the job is. And I think that for me, looking back on all of that personally and professionally, is that, you know, you come to FDIC and you definitely want to hit a Bill Guston class, a Mike Dugan class, you know, back when Vinny Dunn was here, those guys. But it's also important to understand that you're always going to learn the intimacy, I think, of the fire service at a conference like this, because even though you've taken multiple engine operations classes in your region or locale, wherever you're from, when you come to FDIC, you're going to get a new perspective on the same topic that's going to better equip you to go back and deal with problems, either known or unknown, later on in your organization. It's really that you don't know what you don't know. And coming to FDIC grants you that opportunity to sit in on things you think you know about, but maybe you're not as intimate in those topics as you can be. And I think that this conference, just about every topic that you can think of, no matter how many classes you've taken on it prior, no matter how many other smaller conferences you've gone to with similar topics, you're going to get a profound set of perspectives. I think that for me, what it did for me is it made me realize I don't know enough. And I continue to leave here going, man, how did I not know that before? How did I never hear this before? Why haven't I been doing this? Why haven't I been doing that? You know, I just want to dovetail quickly with Captain Guston, because he's always been the gold standard for operations and for tactics. Excuse me. But what many people may not know about Bill is he is probably one of the most knowledgeable fire service professionals in our craft, because I don't know how he does it, but he knows fire suppression systems, he knows alarm systems, he knows high pressure pump, he knows water supply, he hits things like traffic safety when he talks about company officer operations. He hits all of these intimate details that you have to come to places like this to get. And Bill, it just boggles my mind how you have such detailed and intimate knowledge of such a broad profession that is so impressive.
Well, I have two wonderful kids, but fire service has been my life. My dad spent 33 years on the Chicago Fire Department. I told him when I was taking classes fire science classes at a community college, Dad, you know, I like taking these classes, but you know, I want to be able to get on a busy company and learn from experience and set the books down and actually learn from experience. Wait a minute, young man. Wait a minute. You are never going to go to enough fires in your career to derive the experience and knowledge necessary to keep you and your crew safe. You must be a career-long student of the fire service. So I was in junior high school reading Lloyd Lehman, and then I would bounce these concepts off of my dad. And he was a student of the fire service primarily because he was studying for promotional exams, and he spent his time in the bureau. And so he had a wide range of experience, and he motivated me. And I like learning new things.
Mhm.
You know, like what this class today, it was more like reading a menu. I wasn't getting in any great detail about any one topic. But like, for instance, the traffic safety. Go home, and there's plenty of resources out there. There's a video was produced in the Raleigh, North Carolina area called Blocking Procedures. It's on YouTube. That's what it's called. I didn't show that today, but I said, hey, you can find it.
Right.
And it's the same with the suppression systems. I got to say something about my department. And it starts with our chief of training, Division Chief Nick Morgado. And he gave up, as well as many senior fire officers, gave up their opportunity to come here so that it would give the opportunity to new people, our future leaders. And that's quite a person. I'm a different situation. I'm here as an instructor, and my department did not send me here.
Right.
But I would have done the same thing. And then I love talking to these guys when they come back from classes. Hey, who'd you go see? Well, tell me about it. Tell me about it. And we don't always agree on some of these concepts. But I think it was, Mike Dugan says it all the time. You don't have to be right for me to be wrong, and vice versa. Sometimes it's just a different point of view.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's, when we talk negatively about young people, I think we are painting with a very broad brush, maybe even a roller. I look at our recruits, the young men and young women, and I know for a fact they are better people at that age than I was at that age. I was a smart ass. You couldn't tell me anything. These kids are humble.
Yeah.
And they also have what we call in Miami the corazon. What do I mean by that? I mean, you've got a 120-pound young lady that has the desire to be on this job and be held to the same standard as the men. And you know how difficult that is to perform the CPAT test with a 75-pound weight vest on, but they do it.
Yep.
They do it because they prepare for it and they keep themselves in great shape. And some of our young ladies they go to every friggin' conference. We just had, I'm very proud to say this, Laura Rojas passed the Georgia smoke divers class. Laura Rojas is about this big and maybe 100 pounds soaking wet. But what has she got? She's got the corazon. And I love that.
Yeah.
That's absolutely phenomenal. I mean, it really is. I agree with you 100%. I do not like it when people say the next generation, we're in trouble. We're not in trouble. I think what we can expect coming forward is going to be something phenomenal. These kids are smart. They have technology, but it's our duty to get them there. It's our duty to give them all the intellect and all the learning that we can. And once we do, though, I think the future is bright. What do you see? What do you see about the future? What do you think is going to be the big next advent here?
Well, I mean, we could easily talk about artificial intelligence. Yeah. That's and that'll take its place in the hierarchy of technology. I mean, what we're talking about now or theorizing, that a lot of that is just supposition. We're not going to know for a fact. But it's great to have a kid sitting in the jump seat of the apparatus. Hey, what's the friction loss in the 3-inch hose at 450 gallons a minute? Okay, hold on. Okay, this is what it is. Or Paul Martin from Chicago. He tells a story about the hydrants are buried. Well, the snowplow buries the hydrants, and then they got to go around and dig them out. Well, where's the hydrant? Where's the hydrant? So the kid gets up Google Map. Ooh, that hydrant should be right here.
Yeah.
So a lot of that technology works for us. And I have difficulty at times with it, especially computers. But I have to tell you though, guys, I miss the logbook.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
yeah.
miss coming in the morning and having a cup of coffee and saying, "Oh my God, did those guys take a beating last night?" I miss the logbook, and I think that's a tradition that we should not have let go of.
I hear a lot of people say that have logbooks.
Yeah.
And it's something that you're right. And it's always distinct, right? So you don't recognize the handwriting. It's like, well, who was the officer yesterday? Oh, so and so's acting up, and all those things you miss now that it's digital.
I have two treasures. I've got Squad 2, Chicago Fire Department Squad 2 logbooks from 1950 and 1951. Now, you would think Benjamin Franklin was the calligrapher, and they're doing it in fountain pen, and then they close it on a bladder. And it is a narrative of what they did. And it is just absolutely just incredible. And there's no radios in the apparatus, so
Right.
they would turn around and get back to quarters as quickly as they could. But they did a lot of work. And to see my dad's entries in that log,
Oh, I bet.
yeah,
Cool.
that's
Special.
that is special.
Yeah.
That is special.
Absolutely.
You spent a lot of time on the fire apparatus. You stayed a company officer for how many years?
Well, I got promoted to lieutenant. I acted a little bit when I was in Naperville, Illinois, but I was promoted to lieutenant in 1983. And then I was promoted to captain in 1986. Now, when I was promoted to captain, captains had a different role then. You went from lieutenant to captain. You were a battalion commander, and that's why our old badge had the cross,
Okay.
because we were battalion commanders. Well, I would have never even taken the captain's exam if it wasn't for a rumor that they were going to reorganize the fire department and put captains on fire companies. Well, I knew where I was going to go. I was going to Engine 2 or Aerial 2, depends upon what it was at the time. And so I spent 30 years on that as captain of that company.
In that time period, you had to see tactics evolve. We are a tactics show, so let's get into a little bit about tactics. What have you seen evolve? What do you like? What don't you
Well,
like?
they validated my dad. What a visionary. Bill, don't be afraid to give a fire a dash from the outside if your interior attack is delayed for whatever reason. I used to expound that, advocate that in the 90s at FDIC, and I would have people look at me like I just insulted their mama. I committed blasphemy. Now, my dad was a visionary. We don't walk past fire with a nozzle in our hand. Okay. And we know how to apply those streams now. We have great resources. And Underwriters Laboratories has done so much for us. But they're smart. They got the buy-in from some veteran fire officers. I think of his name. His name escapes me right now, but he's you got a bunch of people that they bought in because it is the real deal. And the research is good. And a lot of that we already knew. Well, now, for instance, don't spray water on smoke. Wait till you see the fire. That was the case when it was wood, wool, cotton, steel coil springs. That ain't the case today, bro. You got any appreciable heat, and you better put some water up into that overhead. With the help of Dennis Laguerre, who's a brilliant man, retired from the Oakland Fire Department, I wrote an article entitled, I think it's coming out in June, "Burning from the Inside Out, Overextending Your Protective Clothing." And the concept is that a lot of firefighters don't understand. You're absorbing heat.
Right.
You're not reflecting it. You're absorbing heat. And then it's going to be absorbed in the outer shell, and it's going to be in the thermal barrier. It's going to be in your vapor barrier, and then it's going to be in your station uniform, and then it's going to be in your skin. And Dennis uses a brilliant analogy. Takes a cup and a bottle of water. He says, okay, well, you just entered the fire building. You're already at an elevated temperature because it's a hot summer day. Now we're starting to go down the hallway, and you're starting to feel the heat, but you're tough. You can take it. Okay, now you have to scream, squirm. We're going to squirm. You're going to scream in a few minutes, but you just don't realize it. Okay, we make the turn, and we're hit with a blast of radiant and convected heat. We overflow, and all rational thought goes out the window when you are burning up, and you will stand up, panic, run, jump over the backs of other firefighters because you are burning from the inside out. So, and it used to be a badge of honor to have a burned up old helmet. Now, maybe that's not a badge of honor. Maybe it was, but that might just be, I'm a knucklehead. You know, could be. Yeah. So, but that's a concept that
my early officers, when your ears start burning,
you're
you're too far in.
Yeah.
You know, that was their guide. That's what they taught me as a young punk back in the early 80s. And, we didn't have hoods back then.
Yeah.
And,
but you know what the stimulus was? To make you get low.
Oh, absolutely.
Was
you got
extreme pain. Do you ever remember hearing, you could hear your ears sizzle?
Heck yes.
And then giant blisters, elephant ears, giant hideous blisters on your ears.
And you didn't want to be that guy that freaking backed out. You wanted to show you were tough like these guys that, it was, man, I look back now, it was crazy what we did. Yeah. But
we got to go to a paint and body shop with a sectional overhead door. There's my Uncle Ray. Ray McCormick.
Yeah.
Ray McCormick is going to be appearing in Hemingway Days in October in Key West because he is a spitting image of Ernest Hemingway. Look at him.
Look at that. Yes.
Yeah.
An immovable feast.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we would cut a little triangle in the bottom of an overhead sectional door and climb in. Now, let's say an aerosol can burst. We had to be in a sea of flame. Are we going to take a number? Are we going to take our turn as good ladies and gentlemen? No, we're in trouble. So we don't do that kind of stuff anymore.
Right.
We're smarter and we're safer as a result. We're making some great training videos right now.
Yeah.
And we're picking veteran officers from out in the field that are respected. And I'm going to have one of them on my next Google Hangout. Chris Morales, who's a captain of Engine 6. I held him in my arms when he was a little baby.
Oh, wow.
And I worked with his dad who passed from job-related illness. And whenever I walk past this kid, he's not a kid, he's a grown man with children. He is talking about firefighting. He ain't talking about fishing or hunting or NASCAR. He's talking firefighting. He's my kind of young man. And his dad was quite a fireman.
Yeah.
In your opinion, tactically, where do we still have need? Where do we still have need for improvement or any type of advancement?
Well, we've got to do something about the wood frame monster and the fire spreading between a ceiling and the floors that are supported by I-joists or parallel cord floor trusses. What is working right now is not working. We're chasing the fire, and we're opening up. We're giving the fire exactly what it wants. We're opening up the damper of a wood burning stove. Should we use more piercing nozzles? Yes. I mean, we could go ahead and say, hey, how about putting some sprinkler heads up in there? But that's a whole nother argument. You know, it's like the illegal and unexpected occupancies right now, Chief. We didn't cause it. We can't fix it. We can only deal with its effects. And what the effects is, we're going to find kids and families living in warehouses, living in garages, places where you don't expect them. And unfortunately, I think we're going to have some tragic outcomes. So, but how many fires in those types of garden apartment, usually around 3 stories? If you smell wood burning, you got yourself a situation on your hand, because that's the kind of fire, nothing showing, smell of wood burning. 3 hours later, it's on the ground. So we're not doing it right. Now, we can only do so much. Let's face it, the buildings are built to burn. You know, we're supposed to have draft stopping, what, every 2,500 square feet?
3,000.
3,000. Yeah, but then Larry, the cable guy, gets in there, and there's all kinds of other things. I know you deal with that all the time. Well, you've written articles about it. You've taught about it. So we got to do something, because it's ridiculous. Every week, it's another big complex. Glenn Corbett has it right.
He does.
City fathers
Yes, he does.
should require the developer to post a conflagration bond. And also, we're going to dredge a canal in the middle of these apartment complexes, okay? So that we can bring in a 12,000 gallon a minute fireboat. That will be the answer. Hey, that worked at Avalon Bay, didn't it?
Yeah.
In, was it Edgewater, New Jersey?
Yep.
Yeah, the FDIC
Edgewater,
brought their.
yeah.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And then what do you got left? I think Glenn calls them tombstones: stairway,
That's right.
shear
Yeah,
wall,
yeah.
and elevator shafts.
And then they
Everything
just
else,
start all over. They
start
just
all over. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's where we've got to.
And I think to Bill's point, and it's kind of indirectly related to tactics, is that we need educated, smart, aggressive firefighters who know the intimate details of these tactics, the problems we're facing, and participate in the development of these codes and standards and ordinances to help try to prevent these things. But we don't have enough participation from the tactics side.
Yeah, look at how they
Moving
beat
forward.
up James Johnson
Yeah.
James is he's a firefighter in Vancouver, British Columbia. He is a finished carpenter.
Great guy.
Great guy. Works in wood.
Yep.
And they beat him up.
They kicked him out, didn't they?
I think that they did.
Yeah.
Now, let's think back. One Meridian Plaza.
Mhm.
Correct me if I'm wrong, fellas, but I understand that there was no fire service representation on that NFPA 14 committee at that time.
I don't recall, but that sounds familiar.
And
to
the
me.
assumption was that fire departments throughout the United States were stretching 2.5-inch hose with an 1.125 nozzle, when in fact they were not. To make matters worse, they were using nozzles that create an artificially high nozzle pressure
Right.
with the spring, the automatic nozzle, as we call it. And that's changed. You got guys like Kyle Smith now, which is I think he's on both from.
He's phenomenal.
He is phenomenal. He gets it.
See Cobb County?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I met him years ago when he had a class here at FDIC. Another
Must take class.
yes is what the fire protection engineers didn't tell you, and it has to do with it just never occurred. Why are these sprinklered buildings burning down? Well, in my class today, I'm walking through a fiberglass boat manufacturing plant. You know how dangerous those are. The resins and all that stuff. The fire load is just absolutely incredible. And I go over to the riser and it says, this riser is hydraulically calculated for the M&N Banking Furniture Company. Discharge density, 0.1. Light hazard, the same thing you would have in an apartment building.
Right.
1 gallon per minute for every 10 square feet. That ain't going to get it, bro. It ain't going to. And that's why, he motivated me to become very curious. Whenever we lose a sprinklered building, I want to know what in the hell happened. And we know the usual suspects.
Yeah.
Well, we can't see. I don't know if these guys are friends or hecklers. You guys, you don't see outside, but we've got all kinds of different hand signals. So I lost my train of thought because I'm looking at this guy. It looks like Sam Hiddle in a newsboy hat. Look at that. Who is that guy? Sam looks like you?
Yeah.
You look like Sam, bro. Yeah.
Burning down Sprinkle building.
That's right. Okay, so, all right, we've got, we want to use an interior attack now. Let's shut off the riser. And then open up the overhead doors so that soupy, wet, heavy smoke can vent. And then we will go in. What we don't realize is that because they've changed their commodity, they have more foam plastics than they used to. They've changed the kind of rack storage that they have. They're putting in solid shelves rather than slats. Any number of things, or like change the whole business occupancy. The sprinklers were just barely doing the job. Just barely doing the job. And one of the most impressive lessons I think you can teach firefighters is get yourself a sprinkler prop and put a fire department connection on it and a flow meter and have it flow at domestic hydrant pressure. Okay. And take a look. Now, you pump that at 100 or 150 PSI and the increase in volume is incredible. You go like from 80 to 260 gallons a minute. I mean, you've turned every one of these sprinkler heads into a gigantic nozzle. So we need a greater appreciation of that. And my department has embraced that.
Yeah.
That come on, how many times are we going to go to a building with a sprinkler flowing on an upper floor and they shut off at base of the riser, or they shut it off out in the street at a PRV? Okay, it's got a diesel fire pump. You just deprive that of water. And all the floors above where the running sprinkler head is a water column. It's going to continue to run out. Come on, we're professional firefighters. Come on.
Yeah.
Let's say that I get a rookie right out of rookie school, and I sit him down in front of Captain Bill Gus, and he's been assigned to your company. What does that conversation look like?
Okay, I promised myself that when I would gain some seniority, that I would treat our new people with the utmost of respect. I was not treated well when I first came on the fire department, and I ended up having a major league case of performance anxiety. But what I needed was an older guy to just put his arm around me. Hey, man, don't beat yourself up so much, okay? It took a change of location. I went from a primarily rural and suburban area of the county, you know, we're very diverse, to the hood. And I walked in the back door of Station 2, and the battalion chief is there, and everybody's having coffee. Hey, who's this guy? Whereas I was ignored. We ignored new people. We ignored them. We didn't want to teach them anything. I got there, and I learned so much, and I made mistakes, and they would say, hey, Bill, quit beating yourself up. And I promised myself right there and then, when we get a brand new person, I love having a person that it's their first shift out, because once they get out and check out their gear, we have our Cuban coffee, and they say, here is to our brother Jason. And we make that person feel comfortable. They're already nervous. Let's bring out the best in these people. I don't really like the word rookie. A few years ago, a shift change, I hear a guy say, hey, rookie, make sure you empty out the dishwasher before you go. And I said, you know who that rookie is? Last year at this time, he was in Iraq. He was a Marine getting his ass shot at. That's your rookie. Everybody brings something to the table. And Never did. I hated that. I don't want to haze. I don't want to harass. Now, joke? Yeah, I'm a clown. But nothing that will take away anybody's dignity or take away their ability to respond. Oh, yeah. I mean, we do plenty of other things. I was a clown. One trick I've learned from my dad, and I was teaching a class. I said, Dad, I've got the whole class here. You have any words of wisdom for them? Yeah, tell them about the graham cracker trick. What is the graham cracker trick? So what it is you got a candidate, and he has to clean the bathroom that the public can use. Okay, and he's very meticulous. And then you take graham crackers and you soak them in hot water, and then you don't want to overdo it, but just enough on the doorknob and the toilet paper roll, just enough around the back of the seat. Hey, I thought I told you to clean that bathroom. Well, these guys that were working on the sewers just came in here and they used the bathroom. You better get in there and take another look. So, the graham cracker trick.
Oh, gosh.
My favorite, I'm going to tell a story. My favorite Bill Gustin. When you write a book for fire engineering, you're assigned a technical editor, and you're not supposed to know who that technical editor is unless it's Bill Gustin. Because Bill Gustin found me in the bar at the JW one day and said, Silvernail, I technically edited your book. He goes, I like it, but there's some problems. We got to fix some of the lineup of the chapters. He goes, it's boring the way it sits. And I thought, I liked it that you liked it, but the boring thing, but you know what? Thank you. I mean, you really did a service to me. And honestly, I was honored to have you. I mean, you're the godfather of suburban tactics. Who else would be better off to serve to do that book? So thank you.
The video is dated now. I had a 2-part series on search and rescue in the 90s. And Diane Rothschild called me up and she says, I had John Norman review your videos and everything was positive. I thought my head was going to swell. John Norman, I have tremendous. John Norman I was asked if you could be stuck in an elevator for an extended period of time, who would you want? I said, living and deceased. Deceased, my dad, not because he's my dad, but just the grain elevators and the train wrecks and the airplane crashes and the massive mill constructed buildings and always on a busy company. And then living, John Norman. And I can see a younger than me, everybody's younger than me. There's somebody right now in their ranks, I'm not going to mention his name, who is humble, is friendly, will answer his phone, will answer the emails. He has a passion and no arrogance whatsoever. Just a true gentleman. And I see that guy, and I think he's going to be the next. In fact, I told him that to his face last night. By the way, I saw him again this morning. I said, hey, listen. Last night I was, how shall I say, in my cups. I'm going to tell you the same thing I told you last night. You're the man. And just so he knows it wasn't just coming from the bottle.
I think it is special that you are still a student of the fire service after all these years. So, it's only Tuesday here at FDIC, but you're going to see, if you go to classes, there's a very good chance you're going to see this gentleman sitting next to you in a class. And we talk about humble and we talk about still learning. That's impressive. And that's what we all need to keep, is to keep that being a student of the fire service. It's so important. You said it earlier, there's no way you could learn everything about this job. There's just no way. There's just so much that you can learn and take away every time we come here.
Chief, I'm sure it's happened to all of us. A school teacher will come up to a firefighter and say, you know, you're a fireman and you have a high school diploma and you make way more money than I do and I have a master's degree. Well, I got a dear friend that has a master's degree. My battalion chief has a master's degree. And these guys will tell you, achieving a master's degree was a walk in the park compared with all of the disciplines that we have to learn for an all hazards fire department now. If you're a paramedic and then keeping up with suppression and alarm systems, building construction, when you start to think about all of these different topics, hazardous materials, and there was an excellent article a few months back in Fire Engineering, and it started off with the decisions at a hazardous material incident are going to be made by the first arriving company officer, not a special. And we cannot wait around for a specialty unit. The same goes with technical rescue.
Right.
Okay. If you have a food processing plant and they're using liquid nitrogen and hydrous ammonia, you're going to make it your business to find out about those. You're going to make it your business and you're going to be on a first name basis with the plant manager. I don't want to I'm going to air our dirty laundry in public. We had a very large fire in a energy, the trashed energy. You burn the trash and it generates electricity, goes through a steam turbine, and it worked very well until it caught on fire. And I think there are a lot of fingers to point. And it's in litigation right now, but I better be careful what I say.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
but you got to be familiar with what you're doing. I had a guy email me one day, what's the fastest way to get that hose line up to the 5th floor? Well, is it a center hallway building? Do you have windows at the ends of the hallway for illumination? Can you open them up? Yeah. You take a rope and you drop it down and you hoist up a pre-connect. Rope? Oh, no. The only unit that has rope at our department is the technical rescue unit. Rope? What about how to tie knots?
Yeah. Yep.
Know the properties of ammonia, acetylene.
Do you have an MRI in your area? MRI
Yes.
machine, often overlooked, but can cause you some big problems.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah.
Make it your
Yeah.
business to know these things. It's an exciting time to be a firefighter of any brand new or veterans. I told the class today, don't tell me about the good old days. A lot of that was bad old days. You had, well, in my case, people that didn't treat me right, they weren't into the job. They didn't really care. I remember I came to work and I've got a Chicago truckman's belt with a Decor diver's light. At the time, that was the best you could do.
Decor, yeah.
Decor diver's light.
Yep.
And these guys looked at me like, what? Why? What? And they just don't get it. They just didn't get it until I went to it. It was like getting on another fire department. Now, that's all changed. These are the good old days. That doesn't change. I mentioned this today. We have never been more harmonious on the Miami-Dade Fire Department. We have young women that are being held to the same standard as the men, so they're getting along. They've earned the respect.
Right.
We racially, gender, of course, and hey, in these other persuasions, no problem with that. I've got somebody right now going through a process like that. And I called him up when I first heard that. I said, hey, listen, bro, I don't care. I respect you as a fire officer. That's never going to change. So these are the good old days.
He's, you know, we're in the last 10 minutes here, but Bill, it's been an absolute pleasure. I got to tell you, I feel energized.
Oh, yeah,
I mean, that's why I
absolutely.
come here
Yeah.
every year, just to get this rejuvenation. And you're one of the guys that do it. You give us that knowledge and that just wanting more. And I think that's the key. You just keep wanting more, you know, and this is the place to come get that more and to continue getting that more. Like I said, I leave here energized. I have newfound. I've always had optimism for our future, but talking to you, I just have so
We're
much
going to
more
be
now.
in good shape.
At 100%.
The future of the fire service is in good hands. We'll be fine.
Let's get into some final takeaways.
I think final takeaways are listen to Captain Guston. You know, but if you come to FDIC, it's still early in the week. I think the biggest thing that you need to do when you get here is get outside of your comfort zone. Don't, you know, meet new people, talk to people from other fire departments. And when you pick classes, go to as many classes as you can, obviously. But when you pick classes, pick something you're not familiar with. Pick something that you haven't had a class on before. Don't just go to the things you like. Go to the things you might need.
Or you're comfortable with.
Or you're comfortable with.
So you want to validate what you know.
Right.
Well, that's feels good. It puts you in your comfort zone.
Yeah.
You don't want to be in your comfort zone. In order to learn, you got to get out of your comfort zone.
That's right. So that would be my advice.
Steve, what do you got?
It's okay to like the job, love the job.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, look at Bill. I've been around a long time. Actually,
44 years today.
Today's
Hey,
my
congrats.
44th anniversary.
You guys
of the
seen
fire
that
service.
poster?
Yeah.
There's never been anyone that wishes they had spent more time at work,
Yeah.
Then,
except firefighters.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
those folks ain't right.
right. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my takeaway. You know what? It's all right to love the job. It's all right to come up here. It's all right to sit with legends like Bill and everybody else here, and gain as much knowledge as you can and bring it back to, because all it's going to do is help your department. Right. So
Captain Guston, what do you have?
I watched a video last week that is so powerful and compelling. It's velocity-driven fires, and it has to do, in a general sense, with the Twin Parks. Twin Peaks. Every time I say that, do you know what Twin Peaks is? It's like a racier version of Hooters. And when I say it, it's like, and I've never been there. I'm too old for that stuff. Twin Peaks. No,
I was afraid that's what you were going to say.
Twin Parks. Twin Parks.
Yeah.
Don't just rationalize and say, that's a New York City thing. That could happen to us. Our biggest life hazard is the non-sprinklered condominium, and it's a synergy. And it probably is in a lot of other communities because there's no sprinklers. They don't have to have sprinklers. They fought, and it's actually a hydraulic and economic impossibility to fully sprinkler those buildings. The most we see is a sidewall head. But if you can find, maybe you guys can enlighten us. It's a video about the fire dynamics at Twin Parks. And it's hosted by somebody I think very highly of. And it is dramatic, and it is compelling, it is riveting. And I just love watching that type of thing. And that's the other thing. With technology, you know, we used to just look at pictures in a book. Now you've got these simulations and these 3D, all that stuff is great. It's almost like you were there.
Yeah.
It's that kind of technology is making us smarter firefighters. So velocity-driven fires.
Velocity-driven fires.
Yes.
All right.
All right.
absolutely.
Well, we always like to conclude with our shout outs. We are live at FDIC,
Yes.
and some of you are watching it from home. Get here. And if you can get here once in your career, get here as many times in your career, get here. It will change your culture. It'll change your mindset. It'll give you a whole new set of skills and abilities. Please try every effort to get here. Also, we also encourage, writing for our
Yes.
magazine 100%. Just because you haven't had the experience in writing an article or writing anything, if you have a great idea, put it down on paper. You could be the next John Norman for all we know, correct?
Good
Get
day.
it out there. We want to hear your
You're out there.
experiences, right, for fire engineering, and that's really what our show is trying to encourage.
Right. Yeah. If you've had a good, interesting call,
Oh,
you've had.
they are hungry for
Right.
lessons learned.
Yeah.
They want lessons. They've got enough management.
They'll walk you through the
Yeah.
structure and
Sure,
details.
sure.
Yeah.
And all the PTSD, all
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. It's all good. It's all good. But what they're really hungry for is lessons learned from people that were there.
And everybody's got them every day.
Sure they do. And it could be a brand new guy.
Yeah.
Could be a brand new guy that experienced something that veterans didn't experience.
And maybe you're teaching a class in your local area and regionally, and you've done a few small conferences. Plug it in, send it in, But
Absolutely.
write for the magazine, contribute to the website and the page, and share your ideas and experiences, because we're all better for them.
Our call for papers is open for next year
Yeah.
already. If you got an idea, submit it. We're looking for new ideas. We're always looking for the next person. We're looking for different knowledge, get outside that box.
And you will enhance your chances of presenting at FDIC.
Yeah.
It's almost compulsory. It's you got to write an article. What you're doing is you're telling the world, hey, this guy knows something. Maybe he did a lot of research, but he took the time to do the research. So I'm going to read the articles because I don't have the time to research that particular topic. Okay.
Yeah.
But this guy did. So he's giving me a clip note version of the article. He doesn't have to be a subject matter expert.
Well, we're right at that time,
All right.
and we wanted to thank everybody for watching, and I wanted to end with congratulating these two guys, our keynote speaker on Thursday, Jason Hoevelman, and our post-award winner, our instructor of the year, Bill Gusting. Congratulations.
So my daughter's coming to see you. I don't think she's coming. She tells me she's coming to see me,
Uh-huh.
her and her husband and baby.
Outstanding.
But I know she's coming to see you, Jason.
Steve, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Until next time, look out for our next edition of Tactical Impact.
Stay safe and God bless.